The world is full of strange unknowns. Oddities abound. Secrets and cover-ups are everywhere. Ghosts, spirits, cryptids, and all creatures of the night are waiting to give you a fright. Fear not. Through light and fire we will expose them to the light. Welcome to the Dragon's Nest. Here is your host, Will Lindsay.
Hey everybody out there in podcast land, welcome to the Dragon's Nest Season 2. Yes, it's many years in the making, but we're finally back. Aren't my esteemed co-host, as always, sitting next to me, and ever so lovely, Miss Karen. How are you this evening?
Oh, I'm doing perfectly well. Thank you for asking.
Well, that's great. You know, right now we're in the midst of the national emergency of this coronavirus.
Scary.
It is kind of scary, but we're going to get through it. But more importantly, that's why we decided it was time for Season 2, is because you need fun in your life. You need something to listen to, and we're going to bring that to you.
Absolutely. A lot of people are under isolation right now. People staying home from work. People not allowed to go to their games. And
people are wiping with their hands because they're out of toilet paper.
Exactly.
But tonight's episode, Spectrophilia.
Ooh.
Succubus. The Incubus.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
This may not be an episode that's safe for young ones, so listen at your own leisure. Maybe leisure?
Maybe not leisure.
Maybe don't listen if there are young ones near you. How's that?
All right. How about if you're under 18, just go listen to something else.
So take us away, Karen. We got the first article tonight.
I do. The first article is the Metro Spiritual, kinky sex that's literally out of this world. It's a daily news article by, I'm going to say her name probably real wrong, but it looks like Maya Posley. It starts out with caution. You are about to enter another dimension, one that's dimensionally kinky. Only unbiased, non-prudish Metro Spiritual should venture in. So we're going to get this off with a bang.
A big bang?
No puns. I never did understand why sex is often considered taboo subject. Considering sexual experiences are the one thing most humans actually do have in common. If people did not want to have sex, humans would not even exist. Luckily, around 60,000 couples are having sex right to this very minute.
Wow. They are talking about a baby boom with this coronavirus.
I was going to say, people are in isolation, so you got to do something. But it says humanity will live on. But the big question really should be, how many people are having sex right now with ghosts, spirits, or even extraterrestrials?
I'm having it right now.
Not in front of me. Come on now. Sexual liaisons with otherworldly beings is seemingly on the rise, or at least admitting it in public is. It's called Spectrophilia, and not surprisingly, it's common among Metro Spirituals and other enlightened folks.
Is that a play on metrosexual? Metrospiritual?
Maybe. It involves having intimate relations with ghosts, spirits, or some kind of entity.
Hopefully not Casper. He's underage.
Oh, I know. He's just a baby. Of course, he has been around for 50 years?
Doesn't matter. He's still a baby.
Unlike an incubus, a male spirit or a male evil spirit who has sex with a sleeping woman or its female counterpart, a succubus, people who engage with spectrophilia say it's intense ecstasy, often bringing them to levels of sexual I can't even talk. This is just getting me too hot and bothered. Level of sexual fulfillment beyond
me so horny.
beyond anything physical with another living being. So, something like this article saying sex with a ghost is better than sex with a human. I'm open-minded to anything, and a little bit of anything or everything, it says. So naturally, I did once have a very arousing situation with the unseen, and it was very real. You don't need to see in order to feel. Ask, this is too much. Ask anyone who has ever had sex with their eyes closed.
Well, I turned the lights off. Does that count?
And they don't only, this is actually how it is written. And they don't actually, come while you're sleeping, which makes the sleep paralysis explanation when people in dreamlike state believe they are having sex with the entity null and void. Everything in our universe is a form of energy or consciousness. If directed towards certain parts of the human anatomy, the results can be explosive.
Ooh, blow my mind.
Besides, it's always good to have the other side on your side, right? Guess so. Some notable names think so anyway. So, during a recent 2020 interview plugging his new memoir, singer Bobby Brown revealed...
My prerogative. I can do what I want to do, including ghosts, my prerogative.
He had supernatural sexual encounter in a creepy Atlanta mansion that he had bought.
Sounds fun.
He says, one time I woke up and a ghost. I was being mounted by a ghost. Oh, Bobby.
That was just Whitney.
Paranormal Activity 2 actress Natasha Blancik, did I say that right? Blancik, said she has indulged more than once in the new taboo, or as I call it, the new boo.
Oh my.
Yeah, I'm not laughing at that. She described one of her sexual encounters with an unseen ghost in the interview with the British talk show This Morning. She says, at first I was confused. Then I decided to relax, and it was really pleasurable. I really enjoyed it.
She sounds surprised.
Pop star Kesha's hit song Supernatural was about her erotic paranormal sexual experiences. In the TV interview, she told both Ryan Seacrest and Conan O'Brien, I had a couple of experiences with the supernatural. Don't know his name. He was a ghost, and I was very open to it. Oh no, not Lucy Liu. Lucy Liu is on here next. Lucy Liu told Us Weekly that her sexual encounter with a ghost was sheer bliss. I felt everything, Lucy said. I climaxed and then he floated away.
That was just me. I was the invisible man.
Ooh, now, come on now. According to former Charlie's Angels, her ethereal lover now watches over her. There's nothing like a little loyalty in the new boo. Oh my.
There's the new boo again. Oh my. It's not catching on, whoever wrote this article.
It's not catching on, guys.
It's not going to catch on.
Stars talking about sex is typical, but it gets way more cosmic. According to many ancient biblical texts, extraterrestrials have been having sex with us humans forever. So in Genesis 6:1-6,
E.T. did have that magical finger.
Oh gosh. Now it came about when men began to multiply on the face of the land. The daughters were born to them, and the sons of God saw the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves, whomever they choose. So that was a passage from Genesis.
Yeah, that's the Nephilim.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah, Nephilim are when angels mate with humans, and the offspring are the Nephilim.
So the sons, it has in quotes, refers to fallen angels, whom, in my opinion, are a bunch of aliens who might have gotten a bad rap, but nevertheless were super randy.
Sounds like Tom Cruise is nearby.
They had it right all along. The story goes on to say they were the ones who gave humanity knowledge, which resulted in ignorance, not being bliss. I'm going to reread that sentence again because I don't know if I understood this. The story goes on to say that they are the ones who gave humanity knowledge, which resulted in ignorance, not bliss. I'm not sure I like that sentence, but We had a whole lot of sex with them, and it resulted in kids being semi-gods, who unfortunately turned out to be unruly giants, and so a great flood was used to kill them. A similar story can be found in pretty much every ancient text. Tough times, she says. Tales of the incubi and the succubi are also found in ancient texts, said to be malevolent. They force themselves on humans while they sleep. Some cultures say demonic entities had sex with the archangel Samuel, and their offspring became the incubus and succubus, while others blame it on Lilith, Adam's first wife. Arabic folk called them jinn, while the Arabic.
The Arabic folk.
Let's start that over.
I like it. Keep going with Arabic.
Arabic folklore calls them jinn, while the ancient Celtics called them, I'm not going to be able to say this right, Ducios?
Your guess is as good as mine.
African tales speak of Popabawa.
I'm glad you got this article.
Yeah, really. Thanks for giving me the tough one. The end result is the same. Having sex with a higher level of intelligence seems like the good kind of kinky sex, perhaps worth the experience, no matter the cost. Especially according to jazz singer Pamela Stonebrook. As she told the UK paper The Sun, my first sexual encounter with an alien was unlike any lovemaking experience I'd ever had before. It was so intense and enjoyable. Without getting too graphic, he was much larger than most men.
Of course he was.
When you're a ghost, I would hope that maybe that would be one of the perks.
Maybe it's just his whole arm and you thought it was him. You don't know. You didn't see it.
Oh, no.
He's fisting.
Oh, stop.
Ghost Fist. That could be a good movie.
Oh my gosh.
Ghost
we're
Fist.
getting
coming to a theater near
we're
you.
getting to a different kind of rating now. There are countless stories about alien abductions where sexual situations and human-alien breeding occurred. Some say their experiences were unwanted and terrifying, while others talk about seductive Twilight meets all 50 Shades of Grey scenario. The paranormal community calls the offspring of these encounters
sparkly vampires that have dungeons? That's what I got from that.
It could be sparkly vampires that have
red rooms of pain?
Probably red rooms of pain.
Yeah, all right, fine.
You know, chains, handcuffs, kind of thing.
Like down here.
Exactly. The paranormal community calls the offspring of these encounters many different names, including starseeds and indigos. Perhaps all sides are on the verge of getting it right, and humanity won't be wiped out again. Big floods can really drain a person, you know? At the end of the rainbow, as long as you're not hurting anyone, no one or thing has the right to tell anyone else what is right and wrong when it comes to their own personal sex life. Judgments are swindled versions of someone else's agenda. His story, aka history, is full of them. So have sex with a ghost or an alien if you want to. Come out of the metro spiritual closet. But like all sexual relationships, not every exchange of energy results with you being on top. Use your inner wisdom. You know the difference between a positive and negative energy by having a good or bad feeling. Don't get sucked into a draining relationship. You should feel empowered and safe after a sexual experience. Physical or unworldly. I can never say that word.
Unworldly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You only live this life once, so have fun. Get a little kinky, but be smart and safe, and it says journey well.
Based on what I'm hearing, you get to live this life a little differently.
Yeah.
So
I'm hearing you get to live the next life a little differently.
So our next article is from Dr. Mark Griffiths, psychologist at Trent University. The title of his paper is Ghost Modernism, A Beginner's Guide to Spectrophilia. In a previous blog, I briefly examined exophilia, a sexual paraphilia in which individuals derive sexual pleasure and arousal from extraterrestrials, robotic, supernatural, or otherwise non-human life forms. Today's blog has a look at one of these subtypes of exophilia in more detail, more specifically, those who derive sexual pleasure and arousal from ghosts and spirits, known as spectrophilia. However, I ought to add that only academic reference to spectrophilia I have ever come across is in Dr. Anil Angral's 2009 book, Forensic and Medico-Legal Aspects of Sexual Crimes and Unusual Sexual Practices, who defines spectrophilia more widely as sexual arousal, in quotes, from looking at oneself in a mirror, arousal from an image in mirror, coitus with spirits, and sexual attraction to ghosts, end quotes. However, most online sources note that the paraphilia concerning sexual arousal from mirrors is, I'm going to slaughter this one, catapatronophilia. Yeah, you say that 5 times fast. Therefore, this article will just focus on being sexually aroused by ghosts and spirits.
Okay.
Spectrophilia would appear to be masturbation, one website featuring a short synopsis on spectrophilia claimed, without any supporting evidence, that those afflicted with the condition, quotes, leave their windows open so hopefully a ghost just might be floating on by and suddenly get in the mood to ravage them. For those seeking sexual union with a ghost, however, the only solution is to seek out haunted mansions and hope for the best, or try to coerce the ghost into experiencing the pleasure of the flesh again, end quote.
One thing for sure is that your neighbors will be very friendly to you in this situation.
Extremely. There are a number of online sources, including the Wikipedia entry on spectrophilia, that have speculated whether the condition even exists. However, there are numerous historical stories and or folklore of spirits having sex with humans, most notably the evil and demon Incubus and the Succubus, spirits who take on human forms to seduce humans, in many different cultures. For instance, Carl Sagan in his 1995 book, The Demon-Haunted World, reported satyrs, jinns, Dusi, there's that word again.
There's that word.
And boots, which is Hindu. An interesting 2011 article on paranormal paramours by Karen Stalzna makes a number of useful observations. In his book, Otherworldly Affairs, Haunted Lovers, Phantom Spouses, and Sexual Molesters from the Shadow World, Brad Steiger writes about hyperdimensional love and sex. There are true stories of dead lovers who seek vengeance from beyond the grave, ghostly wives and husbands who return to warn their widows of risky relationships, apparitions of lovers who return for a final goodbye, and sex offenders who come back to Earth to continue perpetrating their crimes. No one has ever presented anything other than only anecdotal evidence for paranormal sexual encounters. For example, no woman has ever been impregnated by a ghost. Wow. Are we sure? I'm not sure.
I was going to say, that would be real bad. I mean, how would you go after child support in that kind of situation?
It's true. Let's ask Joseph. There is no single story, and that was a biblical joke. There is no single story, and therefore there is no single explanation for these claims. Barring pranks, a number of possible natural explanations can be posited. Our biggest clue is that most of these experiences occur at night when the victim is in bed, suggesting that an erotic dream or hallucination has taken place. Such hallucinations may be associated with a phenomenon known as sleep paralysis, otherwise known as waking nightmare. I don't know if I would call it a waking nightmare. I'm just saying. Sleep paralysis is a common experience for many people and is also a symptom of a sleep disorder or narcolepsy. Sleep paralysis is an interruption of the REM stage of sleep. The individual awakens prematurely yet remains in a dreaming state. An episode can present a wide range of visual, auditory, and tactile hallucinations. This may explain many alleged paranormal encounters from ghost sightings, vampires, and alien abductions. As far as I'm aware, and here I agree totally with Stalzna, there is no scientific or empirical evidence for spectrophilia. There are various interviews with people claiming to have had spectrophilic experiences, but all of these have been carried out by either television documentaries and or those claiming to be psychics, ghost hunters, and or paranormal investigators. For instance, the Ghostly Lovers television program that first aired on the Travel Channel in February 2011 has featured a number of women who claim to have had sex with ghosts, usually their dead husbands, and talked about all the physical consequences of making love with ghosts, including orgasm. The most infamous case study is arguably that of Doris Beither in relation to an event that occurred in Culver City, California on August 22, 1974. And which has since been made into the 1983 film called The Entity. Dr. Barry Taff and his associate Carrie Gaynor conducted a paranormal investigation in the home of Doris Beither, a single mother of 4 children. The ghost, according to Doris, and her children, caused physical harm to Doris, including observable bruises, and raped her. This is not one of the good aspects.
That's one of the bad ones.
During the Tiefgainer investigation of the Doris Byther home, a camera recorded visual anomalies where an orb of light appeared in such a way that no known source within the room could have caused the curvature of light as seen in the photograph. Light, even if it had come from a source from within the room, could not bend the way it appears in the photograph. Others are totally convinced that ghostly sex is a reality, but unsurprisingly, these claims come from those who have vested interest in the topics and who make their living from paranormal phenomena. For instance, an online article by paranormal investigator Gina Lehner claims, "Many have come forward to me over the years and have admitted many strange paranormal sexual encounters, from normal everyday people to transgendered, gay, bi, and all flavors in between. It seems sexual encounters with the dead are not limited to just a few, and the variety seems to be more than just the normal. I have investigated ghosts that practice bastonado, foot whipping, variously known as bastonado, falanga, and falaka, is a form of torture wherein the human feet are beaten with an object such as a cane or rod or club or piece of wood or whip." I'm not even sure what's happening in this article. "It is a form of punishment often favored because, although extremely painful, it leaves few physical marks, though evidence can be detected via ultrasound technology. It exists alongside other BDSM whipping practices as rare fetish paraphilia. Many French Quarter ghosts in the New Orleans area seem to favor this as a paranormal foreplay in essence. It probably won't surprise you to learn that I prefer my evidence to be empirical rather than anecdotal and based on hearsay, and not based on hearsay. The people who have claimed to have had sex with ghosts and or spirits may well totally believe they have had these experiences and had the supernatural sex. However, just because the person says they experienced something doesn't mean that they actually have. They may just think that they have."
I can tell you now that beating on my feet is not something that's going to turn me on.
Are you sure?
Oh, I'm positive.
Because I know that you like a good whip in other places sometime.
Oh, yeah, you're going to leave.
Oh, all right. Anyway, moving on. Grab your pottery wheel and turn on some Incubus. We need to talk about ghost sex. Exactly how many people out there are getting it on with apparitions? This is an article by Justin Kirkland. "Last night I slept with my window open, and in the middle of the night I felt a presence, a cool, gentle touch that moved delicately up my leg toward my thigh. Was it happening? Was I about to experience ghost sex? In fact, no. I had forgotten the window was open, and the sensation was an above-average size mosquito. I killed it, and it was gross. For now, I would not have an encounter worth a horny apparition. While getting the bug guts off my hand, I considered maybe we've been sleeping on this concept of ghost sex, or spectrophilia, as the academics call it. After yesterday's headlines about Amethyst Realm, which you have an article about Amethyst Realm I'm going to have you read in just a second, a British woman who is now engaged to a spirit, I considered what it might be to lie next to a ghost, and no, I'm not referencing my last relationship. Hey-oh! I'm talking... Gosh. He wrote that, not me. I'm talking a real ghost. How common is ghost sex, really? How many people are out there getting the ghost phallic member? He says something else. Spectrophilia goes much deeper than I originally thought. There's a whole vocabulary. Incubus, not the band, is the male form of a demon or a spirit who tries to impregnate women with his ghost sperm. Succubus, not the easy-to-care-for plant. That's a succulent, by the way.
See, that's a succulent.
Is a woman spirit who is just out there trying to get pregnant by a human man. And then there's Amethyst, who has a real connection and once loved her ghost boyfriend in an airplane bathroom. Good for her. When I dove into the history of spectrophilia, it turns out a lot of people, real and fictional, have had experiences hooking up with ghosts. You know the popular examples in fiction. Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze had quite a time at that pottery wheel. And everybody can always remember the Whoopi Goldberg kiss.
Oh, yes.
And Izzy Stevens was having the best ghost sex of her life on Grey's Anatomy. Connie Britton got impregnated by one in American Horror Story. My life motto has always been, if it's good for Tammy Taylor, it's good for me. One of the most popular examples is when late model and playmate Anna Nicole Smith famously told FHM in 2004 about having slept with a ghost. I wasn't putting a lot of stock in that, but I was nothing short of stunned to find out that Dan Aykroyd told this very publication in an interview that he had cuddled with a ghost as well. Aykroyd recalls, yeah, maybe the guy was gay and he wanted to have some fun. I'd be surprised if I was his type, but when you're dead, you'll take what you can get. Leave it to a straight dude to assume every gay incubus wants to screw it. From there, the floodgates open. There seem to be a lot of British women who experience sensual ghost run-ins. Lucy Liu is in there. But one of the more recent examples was Kesha. And after a little digging and a wonderful read of Katie Haney's piece on Spectrophilia in Pacific Standard, I visited summoningsuccubus.com, which is a site that will teach you how to...
Sorry, that is summoningsuccubus.com?
Yes.
Just in case
I'm
any of our
assuming this is a
listeners...
real website.
Just in case any of our listeners want to check that out.
That's summoningsuccubus.com. This might be a good point to let you know that summoning a succubus might not be the most appropriate thing to do. As for if you've ever seen The Exorcist, well, you follow down the path that I'm trying to get to. So, back to summoningsuccubus.com. The site offers 7 free lessons on how to summon succubi and incubi, and how these lessons can teach you several other things, including how to stop feeling lonely and become more connected to your inner love. I don't want to seem judgmental, but I feel like step 1 is closing the tab that has summoningsuccubus.com opened up. Would I ever dabble in trying to summon ghosts for sex? Absolutely not. That's not to say that I have any judgment for Kesha or Amethyst Realm. They are the success stories. But think of what could happen if a ghost hookup goes poorly. In Jurassic Park, Jeff Goldblum said, "Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should." As always, listen to Jeff Goldblum. What happens if you invite a ghost into your boudoir and the sex is fine, but you guys didn't click like you'd hope? Just because it's a non-corporeal spirit doesn't mean that it won't be a clinger. What if they stick around and haunt your house? What if they drink all your almond milk? Almond milk is expensive. If ghosts respected boundaries, then they would likely not be showing up at all. If you want to invite that kind of mystery into your home, be my guest. But the last thing I need is another mouth to feed. To paraphrase prolific hip-hop trio TLC, don't go chasing poltergeists. In the meantime, keep an eye out for incubi, succubi, and perhaps invest in a good citronella candle as well.
I think what we should take away from this story, our overall, is always listen to Jeff Goldblum.
Always listen to Jeff Goldblum.
Always.
Except for when there's a ghost touching me.
No, we should just always listen to Jeff Goldblum.
Okay, fine. Gosh.
So, as Will said, I have an article all about Amethyst Realm. She's the girl who got engaged to a spirit. So, she had sex with 20 ghosts and is now engaged to a spirit.
I'm sorry, did you say 20?
20,
20.
yeah.
Good for you, Amethyst. Good for you. You go.
It starts out with, hopefully she doesn't get ghosted.
Hopefully she doesn't get ghost chlamydia.
Yeah, let's hope. I don't even know what that would look like.
What would that be? A spectral transmitted disease?
I would think so.
That's still an STD. Spectrally transmitted disease?
Oh. All right.
Is that the same as, like, you know... What's the stuff on Ghostbusters? You know, Slimer?
Oh, gosh. People get slimed. Ew, that's disgusting. All right, back to the article. A British woman who claims she had slept with at least 20 ghosts says she's now engaged to a poltergeist.
Ectoplasm, that's the word I was looking for.
There you go. In December, Amethyst Realm told British TV show ITV This Morning that she cheated on her fiancé with a ghost and has since gone on to have supernatural affairs with at least 20 paranormal beings. Well, now, she says she found true love with an apparition. Realm said the ghost asked her to get married during a trip to celebrate their 9-month relationship at the England Wookiee Hole Caves.
Wookiee, like...
Yeah, that bad imitation of a Wookiee. Yes, that's exactly what it was. There was no going down on one knee. He doesn't have knees, she says. But for the first time, I heard him speak, she told the sun. I could actually hear his voice, and it was beautiful, deep, sexy, and real.
It's Fabio.
The 30-year-old said she met her spooky match, who doesn't have a name, during a work trip to Australia in February. I'd not had a phantom fling for a while, and as I was always away on business, starting a new relationship was the last thing on my mind. Then one day, while I was walking through the bush, enjoying nature, I suddenly felt this incredible energy. A new lover had arrived. Realm said her friends and family have embraced her unusual engagement, and now she's planning her big day as a pagan ceremony.
Probably saved a lot of money on gifts. I mean, what do you buy a ghost?
That's very true.
You can't buy it sage; it'll just go away. Is that how you have ghost divorce?
Ooh, I would think so. Sage everything.
Water,
Get
sage.
rid of your husband.
Interesting. Way more cost effective.
She says, we haven't discussed the details yet, but I think it will be quite a big to-do. However, the couple already had sex on the plane back from Australia when they first met. I was happy and excited, so excited that we had to do something about it, she said.
Out of the bathroom?
Probably. So we headed to the plane loo, and well, I am now a member of the Mile High Club. The bride-to-be added that this engagement was much more satisfying than her previous living fiancé. Sometimes I get the feeling that I'm being moved, she said. Orgasms I have with my spirit lover have been way more satisfying than anything I had with ordinary men.
I'm still wrapping my head around the airplane. So you can't see the ghost. So why do you have to go to the bathroom where you just sit in your seat and enjoy it?
Well, if she's having better orgasms with the ghost than she did with ordinary men, I don't think you'd want to sit beside that.
Okay, fair point. All right. So, Incubus and Succubus, a couple of these articles have talked about it. Encyclopedia.com says, a demon spirit that has sexual intercourse with mortals. The concept may have arisen from the idea of the commerce of gods with people, which was rife in pagan times. The male demon said to have intercourse with women is called the incubus, and the female demon who seduces men, the succubus. The demons were generally believed to appear most frequently during sleeper and nightmares. During the witchcraft scare of the late medieval period, these demons, when associated with an individual witch or sorcerer, were known as familiars. Belief in incubi and succubi goes back to ancient times, but was incorporated into Christian belief in the medieval period. Such churchmen as Thomas Aquinas discussed the demons. The incubus, the description, this is an article called The Incubus, the description of Scotland of Hector Boethius, as translated in the first volume of Holinshed's Chronicles, has 3 or 4 notable examples of these demons, which are corroborated by Jerome Cardon. One of these, concerning an incubus, is quoted in the quaint language Holinist used. In the year 1480, it chanced as a Scottish ship departed out of the Forth towards Flanders.
So sorry.
There arose a wonderful great tempest of wind and weather, so outrageous that the master of the ship,
I just don't get it.
with
other, to do this. This is awful.
With other the mariners wondered not a little what the matter meant to see such weather at the time of the year, for it was about the middle of summer. At length, when the furious piree and rage of winds still increased in such wise that all those within the ship looked for present death, there was a woman underneath the hatches called unto them above, and willed them to throw her into the sea, that all the residue by God's grace might yet be saved. And thereupon told them how she'd been haunted a long time with the spirit daily coming into her in man's likeness. In the ship there chanced also to be a priest, who, by the master's appointment, going down to this woman, and finding her like a most wretched and desperate person, lamenting her great misfortune and miserable estate, used such wholesome admonition and comfortable advertisements, willing her to repent and hope for mercy at the hands of God, that at length she seemingly right penitent for her grievous offences. I'm going to need a young priest and an old priest. And fetching sundry sighs even from the bottom of her heart, being witness as she appeared of the same, there issued forth of the pump of the ship a foul and evil-favoured black cloud. It's how they spelled it. It's written in that Gaelic. Black cloud, with a mighty terrible noise flame, smoke and stink, which presently fell into the sea. And suddenly, thereupon the tempest ceased, and the ship passing in great quiet the residue of her journey arrived in safety in place whither she was bound.
Once again, I would like to apologize to anybody from...
No apologies necessary. In another case related by the same author, the incubus did not depart so quietly. In the chamber of a young gentlewoman who was the daughter of a noblewoman in the country of Mar, there was found a foul monstrous thing very horrible to behold. For the love of this deformed, and nevertheless the lady had refused sundry wealthy marriages. A priest who was in the company began to repeat St. John's Gospel, and suddenly, that's how it says it, suddenly, it's written just like that, suddenly the wicked spirit, making a very sore and terrible roaring noise, flew his ways, taking the roof of the chamber away with him. The hangings of coverings of the bed being also burnt therewith. In another story, Margaret Bremont, in company with her mother and others, was in the habit of attending diabolical trysts. She and the others were burned alive by Adrian Ferris, general vicar of the Inquisition. Magdalena Crucia of Cordova, an abbess, was more fortunate, suspected by her nuns of magic, an accusation convenient when a superior was at all troublesome. She anticipated their charge, going before Pope Paul III. She confessed a 30-year intimacy with the devil and obtained pardon. An old rabbinical writing related to the legend of how Adam was visited during a 130-year period by female demons and had intercourse with demon spirits, specters, lemurs, and it says lemurs, but I'm thinking that that's probably not a monkey. Not sure.
Probably not. Probably not.
And phantoms. Another legend relates how under the reign of Roger, king of Sicily, a young man was bathing by moonlight. He thought he saw someone drowning and hastened to the rescue. Having drawn from the water a beautiful woman, he became enamored of her, married her, and had by her a child. Afterwards she disappeared with her child, which made everyone believe that she was a succubus. The historian Hector Bocci, in his History of Scotland, relates that a handsome young man was pursued by a female demon who would pass through his closed doors and offer to marry him. He complained to his bishop, who enjoined him to fast, pray, and confess his sins, and as a result, the infernal visitor ceased to trouble him. The witchcraft judge Pierre de la Croix stated that in Egypt, an honest blacksmith was occupied in forging during the night when a demon appeared to him in the shape of a beautiful woman. He threw a hot iron in the face of the demon, which at once took flight. "Take that, you winged spawn of Satan!"
I knew it. We always have to give credit to
a little Ace Ventura reference.
Ace Ventura, yeah. So, this next article is blogger known as...
Oh, yes. So...
Gonad?
The next few articles are going to be about, like, actual people. So these next few articles came from places like blogspot.com, reddit.com. So they're actual articles. So they don't all have the names of the writers. So Gonad is his screen name.
Okay, well, let's hear what Gonad has to say. It starts out with, our interaction started for us back in the mid-1970s. I was about 17 years old then and discovered masturbation. She participated in my daily masturbation activity and remained hidden from my awareness until 2008. So he's saying a ghost hid from him while he masturbated. So
I guess she didn't visualize herself to him, or whatever the term is. She didn't become visible to him.
So the next part is said, I always thought it was my imagination. So, you masturbated by yourself is what you're saying.
I also experience these things.
Yes, yeah, you have somebody. That's just me, baby.
Oh.
I was also into psychic study then, primarily trying to develop and focus any ability for my 5 years before I found religion. I was quite religious for many years before settling down to normality, he puts in quotes. Again, I married normality. I married the most wonderful woman in 1993. My wife and I are so close, soulmates, if you will, and made for each other. Our 3 kids are happy and well adjusted in our peaceful home. We hardly ever argue, but discuss issues as they come along. We had our personal difference begin to build in about June to July of 2008. The conflict was about my porno collection, and it sparked a confrontation, I would say it would. I began having reoccurring dreams in the hazy mind state just before sleep. I'd see an image of a perfectly beautiful woman in every way calling me over. I'd approach and she'd open her robe, revealing perfect breasts, and I'd begin kissing a deep, emotional, open mouth yawn type kiss. I love the description.
Open mouth yawn kissing.
An open mouth yawn type
Been married
kissing.
a long time, and I don't believe I've done any of this open mouth yawn kissing. Sounds unappealing.
The open mouth yawn kissing.
Are we sure this guy's really married?
It was very loving and personal. Just kissing, and I'd eventually fall completely asleep. The dream never varied.
Maybe he married a real doll.
Oh. Ugh. The differences between me and my wife in June 2008 led to the worst argument of our marriage in July. The air was thick with conflict that night, and I lay on my back, peering onto a dark bedroom lit by our 2 alarm clocks, contemplating the argument and searching for a resolve. I noticed a rotating, revolving, or churning gray cloud or mist.
Which is it? Is it revolving? Is it churning? I mean, make up your mind.
Oh, he says it's a little bit of everything. Mist, the size of a beach ball near the ceiling. Looking at it, I saw nothing but clearly there was...
Suddenly I have the Beach Boys in my head.
He saw nothing clearly, but he did see something out of his peripheral. It wasn't scary, so I lay there for about 20 minutes wondering what it was. Then a second shadow or something moved slowly, then scoot and vanish on the other side of the room. It wasn't scary, but was wondering what the heck it might be. I felt an almost electric tingling feeling begin at my foot. There we go again. The foot thing.
He's got chills. They're multiplying.
So they began to move up his leg.
And he's losing control.
It was pleasure, so I let it move undisturbed.
Because the power is supplying.
Oh my gosh. You want to finish?
No, keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay. It felt like someone dropped from above the bed between me and my sleeping wife, and something became fully excited.
It's electrifying!
In less than 10 seconds. I felt wave after wave of erotic pleasure, so strong it lay my head back with a silent moan. No masturbation, no touching, just very excited, and those waves. The waves subsided after about 15 minutes. I went soft, and eventually I fell asleep.
It's called a wet dream.
I thought it was my imagination or something the next day, but it happened again the next night. I felt it was some kind of spirit, and I told my wife about the encounters, and she was understandably skeptical. She's a paranormal believer, but wasn't sure if I was fabricating something to help relieve our differences. I lay night after night waiting for that experience again. I truly believed it was a spirit, so I learned to work a pendulum and had immediate communication. She indicated that we had been married in our past lives and now continued with this one. I was very skeptical. So this is his wife from a past life that is raping him at night. I see.
It's his wife's
I
ex-wife.
should say raping. He kind of wants
his
it.
Ex-wife? His widowed wife? His
past life wife.
Past life wife.
That's his past life wife.
Yeah. That's PLW. # PLW past life wife. And don't forget to also include the hashtag spectral transmitted disease.
Oh gosh. It went on for a few months, and I considered it to be some kind of psychosis or hallucination. After all, I was the only one experiencing this, and began to seriously disbelieve it, and began to consider mental illness.
I guess the ghost could have made it a menage a trois.
It could have, yeah, she could have, but it's past life wife. You don't want current wife and past life wife to, learn about each other.
That's complicated.
That is very complicated. That's when paranormal stuff began happening in our home. Here are just a few shared experiences seen and heard by other people in our house. Consider I had never discussed this further with anyone. So some of the things that happened were objects would move by themselves, doorknobs would turn, the door would open as if somebody was coming through, faucets would turn on and off by themselves, and even water had been unnaturally redirected.
Unnaturally redirected. I always love it when water's unnaturally redirected. Sometimes I turn on the faucet and I get to wash my hands, but instead of going to my hands, it just shoots right in my face. I'm like, okay, I guess it's time to wash my face. Thank you, Ghost.
There were noises, bangs, slides, creaks, raps, taps, odd distant voices, an unintelligible conversation, buzzes, weird music, someone saying hello right in front of your face.
Is it me you're looking for?
Breathing sounds and more. Touches, brushes, scrapes, scratches, and taps. And appearing, vanishing shadows, localized, isolated flashes, sparks of light, seeing someone for an instant, but then looking back and it's gone. Which, that is something that I have experienced myself, and that does kind of take you back.
With your ex-wife husband?
No. I didn't have an experience with my past life wife husband? Or my past life husband.
Hashtag PLH. Hashtag PLH.
So he finally came to a conclusion. This is not a dream. Interaction can happen anytime, day or night. Times like watching TV or a movie in the backyard pool, or even while shopping or in the car. The experience is rather like being covered and bathed in the most intense loving ecstasy one could ever have. The level of true devotional love, satisfaction, and enjoyment cannot be obtained with human to human. Sex probably isn't like what most people here consider. It's difficult or impossible to understand unless you have experienced it.
So, did his wife leave him? I'm talking about his current life wife, not his past life wife.
The current life wife?
Do you think she left this guy? Because, clearly he's getting supernatural pleasure from past life wife.
Well, I think the interesting part about this is that he's being really honest with his current wife and telling her what's happening.
I prefer the term current life wife.
Current life wife. But, she's just thinking that he's kind of crazy. Okay,
so I'm going to tell you that I have better sex with my past life wife than I have with you.
I will go by Sage.
See, that's my point. There would be a priest at the house. You'd be like, if I'm not getting it, you ain't getting it. That's how it's going to work in this relationship. Female Spirit or Succubus by DeGod from Arkansas. Back to that guy. If he wants me to take him seriously, he's going to have to get a better scream name than Gonad, okay?
Yeah, Gonad was a little, I'm kind of, right. Yeah.
Female Spirit or Succubus by DeGod from Arkansas. I know it is stated to not post dreams, but I believe this dream is caused by the paranormal. Please help me try to figure out what is going on. Last night, the dream was very intense and disturbing. So for the past few weeks or so, I've been having a reoccurring dream. I know this isn't a dream interpretation board, but after some research, I'm starting to believe it could be a succubus. I have had little experience with paranormal. However, I recently moved into a new house about 3 months ago, and there are a bunch of strange noises and lights being turned off and such. It is very disturbing. I have only had this dream since moving. As I was saying, I believe it could be a succubus. In the dream, the woman starts off gorgeous and basically asks if I want to bang.
I'm thinking this is a dream, and
Yeah, I'm thinking dream too, because if I'm a succubus and I have like eternal language and have been around before the dawn of Ben,
yeah.
I'm not going to use the term, hey, you want to bang?
You want to bang? Yeah, that's.
I think he was watching some 1990s teen romance comedy. All right. Want to bang? I say, are you asking the right person? And she mounts me saying yes. I put up a struggle, in essence saying, nah, I'm good. I have to pause there. That was what he said. Nah, I'm good. I'm sure he said it just like that, too. Okay.
Nah, I'm good.
But then her face contorts into a demon-like face. I fight with her and get her off of me and escape, and my dreams devolves into something else, but throughout the dream she finds ways to appear regardless of what is going on. In my dream last night I was singing church music as a means of protecting myself. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm not sure that's what he was singing, but
It probably was.
I'm 100% not religious, but yet you know church music. Okay. It probably was.
It probably was. It's the light of mine.
But it didn't seem to fend her off. Probably not. Could the house be haunted by a female spirit that is trying to make herself known, or is it a succubus? Thank you for reading, and if anyone has been through this, I will gladly pass on the names to recite to banished demons. He's not religious, but he believes
I was gonna say.
in things that banish demons.
He might be a little religious. Just
Or maybe he became religious.
Maybe he dabbles in the religious.
You want to bang? Right, that turns you right on, right? Right? No, fine.
Nah, I'm good.
No, it's nah, I'm good.
Nah, I'm good. All right, the next article: "Woken by Sex with a Ghost" by Crafty Inn, and it's
Crafty Inn.
It's CraftYinnh.
In it. Crafty in it.
Crafty Inn. I am a widow, and I live with my teenage daughter in a mobile home in a trailer park. My home is less than 20 years old.
Bang, 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 bang.
Now stop.
Oh.
Stop.
Fine.
There are some nice trailer parks
Bang,
out
bang,
there.
bang.
Stop it. My home is less than 20 years old, but it is definitely haunted. We have two types of ghosts. One is human and the other one is animal. We seem to travel together, so when one isn't around, neither is the other. Over the last 6 years, we've had several experiences with our ghosts, from soda cans flying across the room, fans being knocked off the television twice,
knocked down the soda pop.
hearing typing on keyboards, but there is no one when I check. I'm sorry, that sentence was typed up weird. Hearing a laugh track from old sitcoms from the 60s and the TV isn't on, thumping in the back room, things walking on my bed and resting at our feet, and so on.
It's called bed bugs.
Oh gosh, stop. My daughter's friends had all heard and felt the ghost cat, and few
Ghost cat.
Ghost cat. That sounds like a new
Hashtag ghost cat.
That sounds like a new superhero. Like
Ghost cat. Dun, dun, dun. Ghost cat to the rescue.
Exactly. And if you experience the human. We all accept that ghosts exist and welcome them. I have had ghostly encounters in nearly every home I've lived in, so I think they realized we're safe and can be trusted. We watched the show on Discovery Channel, or a channel like Discovery Channel is what it says, about a woman who had sexual encounters with ghosts. That night I went to bed. I commented aloud that I wouldn't be opposed to having a ghostly visitor having sex with me that night.
I go to bed every night saying that.
I masturbated and
I say
fell
right
asleep.
as I get done with prayers, I would also like a ghostly visitor to visit upon me, great ghost sex.
Just one of those nights where you have, please, dear Lord.
Lord, I could use some spectral phenomenon right now.
Oh, jeez. I masturbated and fell asleep, much like I did every night. Later that night, I half woke up and discovered I was laying on my stomach and my hips were moving as if I was having sex. I could feel a weight against me, but I knew I was the only one in the room. I didn't recall having an erotic dream. I drifted back to sleep, and that's all I remember. The next night it happened again. I didn't masturbate before sleep this time. I woke up in the same position, with the same movements of my hip, with the weight on top of me. Again, there was no one else in the room and no erotic dreams.
If you wake up with your butt in the air, is that a sign?
I drifted back to sleep, and that was the end of it. My question is that, so she wakes up and her butt's up in the air. She's having movements like she's having sex, but she's not sure.
I know. I mean,
so
whatever.
I'll just keep reading. We had the usual ghostly interactions over the next
Maybe that's
few
how
months.
you invite a ghost down. Like, I'm going to put my butt in the air.
The butt in the air. Make sure you open the window too as we start.
Oh yes. Open the window. Turn off your citronella.
Yeah. One day I realized we hadn't had any interactions in a few months. Then 2 weeks ago, my daughter has woken by a man screaming in her room. Just the two of us were here. Then I was getting dressed to go out to a party. I heard the door open and a male voice said, "I'm back." We weren't expecting company, so I was half naked in the bathroom and the door was wide open. I heard the voice and slammed my bathroom door, then asked who was there. My daughter, who was in the kitchen, said she had not heard anything. After that, the ghost interaction started up again. They've been very active, especially the animal. I have felt it on my bed many nights, and my daughter has had her own experiences. Last night, the ghost animal was moving all over my bed. I knew it wasn't my cats, as I could not see or touch any of them. I drifted off to sleep after masturbating. I woke up in the same position as the other 2 times. I could feel a weight against me, and my hips were moving as if I were having sex. I drifted back to sleep and woke up again with the same thing happening, and then finally fell asleep for the rest of the night. I don't mind it, and it isn't hurting me, so I don't really care if it continues. It is just really weird feeling, and it has been nice coming to the site and seeing others who've had similar stories. So I kind of feel sorry for this woman, because
it's a movie. It's a haunting in a trailer park. The ghost of the Turtle Man.
But
live action.
So here's a spectral person having sex with this woman, and she doesn't feel it. All she's feeling is her being moved around.
Sounds like she's pretty loose. So I think I figured out her screen name. Yeah.
So
it was Crafty and H, right?
Yeah, Crafty and
so
H.
So if you have no teeth and you try to say Christina, it comes out Crafty and H.
Oh,
my name's Crafty and H. I got one tooth.
Oh, that's so bad.
I got one tooth and a ghost that won't leave me alone at night.
You want me to go on to the next one?
And Ghost Cat.
I'm trying to stop this. I'm so sorry. You mean go?
Sexual.
How about I go on to the next article? How about that?
Okay, fine.
My Sexual Demon by Outsider from Australia.
Oh, hello, mate.
Oh my goodness, why? My friend.
At least I didn't read this article. I gave it to you.
First, let me start by saying
that's not a ghost. This is a ghost.
That in almost every case I read about demons sexually attacking humans, it is either when they are asleep or semi-conscious. That is not my case at all. I moved into a modern home on a farm not far from the city and almost immediately felt that there was a presence inside the home. Example, the door knocking but no one was there, my dogs barking like crazy but nothing was there, my name being called out but again, no one was there. I felt maybe this could be a normal haunted home and ignored it. Then one day I was lying semi-naked on my bed after a shower and started feeling a vibration sensation crawling up my leg. William, don't do it. I brushed it aside as nerves twitching. A few minutes later, I felt my genitals being played with.
Oh.
This is in the afternoon and I was wide awake. I quickly got off my bed and told my wife. She replied, "Are you trying to make me jealous?" and laughed. The next day, I was sitting on my couch watching TV when I felt something tickling my neck, but it felt like pins and needles. I thought I must have nerve damage somewhere. Stop! That's like flies.
It's landing on his neck.
Ew. Somewhere, but seconds later, it started touching my genitals again. But this time, it was more tense.
It's crabs. Definitely crabs.
I laid back and
definitely crabs. Definitely crabs.
And started at my genitals being stroked under my pants. It felt like the best feeling I had ever had. And then I pulled my pants down, sat back, and something was either riding me or giving me oral until I climaxed. So much I didn't know I'm sorry, I'm trying not to laugh. I climaxed so much I didn't know a human could hold that much.
Wow.
Ew.
Wow.
I didn't tell my wife, and I felt guilty. Also,
maybe that was part ectoplasm.
It probably was, because he says there was a unique smell around his genital area that he had never smelled
Ectoplasmic
before.
juices.
Why did you give me this article?
You know I purposely gave you this article, right?
Anyway, this became routine out in the sun in the shed. I gotta start over. Sorry, guys. Anyway, this became routine. Out in the sun, in the shed, anywhere. It was on demand. It understood English because at times I would say, stop, stop, not now. And it obeyed. Many times I would ask it to speak or manifest.
All I see is this ghost going, okay. I'm going to have to do it now.
I would ask it to speak
Walking away
or
with its head
manifest.
low.
But nothing until one day I was watching TV. Then all of a sudden, sitting in a chair not far from me, I saw the most beautiful female in the universe. After seeing this female being sitting in the chair, I froze. But I saw enough to describe her. Black, long, silky hair, big blue eyes, bat-like wings, black netted rib cage, normal human breast, black arms and hands, and horse-like feet, and a long skirt green in color. I saw her for about 10 seconds and then she disappeared. I felt special. I don't know why. Anyway, this started getting out of hand. You think?
I think it was out of hand long before you saw her. I'm just saying.
I would be visiting relatives and she started feeling me up or shopping or driving my car. I started thinking, how is she traveling with me everywhere and waking up during the night just to have sex? I mean, real sex. No different to the feeling of a real woman. Ever since starting to have sex with this thing, I kept away from my wife, and I felt I didn't need to be married. Aww. And another thought about divorcing my wife of 10 years.
It should have been your first clue that this wasn't a good entity.
Yeah, that's sad. I used to pray every day, but then I tried to start praying again, and I would feel sharp pain in my neck. It would stop, then I stopped praying. It would stop when I stopped praying. I started worrying. You just now started worrying. I started worrying, and one night I cuddled up to my wife and had sex and went to sleep. A few hours later, all hell broke loose.
Is that pity sex? I mean, all right, I'm going to have sex with you.
I think it was more out of, he's trying to get back to a normal life and stuff, so he decided to go out, to have sex with his wife to try to put things back together.
Well,
but
clearly he was disappointed.
According to this, a few hours later, all hell broke loose. Doors knocking, lights on and off, drum sounds, banging noises, screaming noises. My wife was terrified, and I knew it was my fault for accepting this demon. The next day, I rang my uncle, who knows plenty about these things, and told him everything. He said that the demon was in love with me.
His Uncle Brian O'Malley. He's a priest.
And he did
in Ireland.
And if I don't get rid of it, she will harm my wife. I panicked and I went to see him. He gave me these certain names to recite to remove the demon from my body. I said, what from my body? He said, yes, that's how she gets around you. What? I think this is weirdly written. I said, That from my body? He said, yes. That's how she gets around with you. Okay, so the demon is inside his body. Anyway, I recited these names over and over, and I felt hard vibrations going down my leg, kind of like a shock wave explosion next to my leg. I saw a 2-foot-high monkey-looking thing and a bubble fleeing fast out of the glass door.
Did you say bubble?
A bubble.
It's monkey ball. It's real life monkey ball.
It's monkey ball. I rang my uncle. He said she left, and for her not to return, he made me an amulet and said I must wear silver rings on my fingers and toes for the next 30 days. Ouch. I had to be uncomfortable. It's been 6 months now, and it's all quiet. I'm praying regularly again and still feel the guilt of my sin.
I'm just going to say that I've read and heard a lot about exorcisms, which this was kind of like an exorcism.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never heard of one leaving and looking like it was Super Monkey Ball. I'm just saying.
No, I can't say that I've ever seen or heard anything saying that it looked like a monkey in a ball and went out the door.
It's crazy. Succubus things in Australia. Those people down under. I swear to God.
I don't know what.
I was a little mix of all kinds of stuff right there. Succubus true stories. Real life encounters. One man met a succubus and lived to tell the tale. By Stephen Wagner at thoughtco.com. In December 2012 in Bakersfield, California, a young man named Ethan had a demonic encounter. After returning from school, Ethan was tired and worn out, but still had plenty of homework to do. He worked late into the night before finally collapsing into bed. He fell asleep instantly, but did not sleep soundly. He dreamt that an evil being was in his home, and it was trying to get into his room. It finally broke in, and as soon as it did, Ethan jolted awake with a ringing sound in his ears. Ethan felt the demon. It was on the wall behind his head, holding Ethan's limbs down. It had something in his ears, and his left ear began to vibrate violently. The strange sensation spread to his right ear as well. Ethan fought as best he could, but could not break free. He cursed at the being and tried to free his arms and legs. The demon only laughed at him, an eerie and horrific... That was hard to say.
Horrific?
An eerie and horrific sound. And that was neither deep nor high pitched. So I guess it was more like... Well, that's just not scary. The demon cried out soon and released Ethan. Ethan sat up rapidly, leaping out of the bed to turn on the lights. But when light flooded his bedroom, there was nothing out of the ordinary. However, Ethan's dogs were acting abnormal, barking. He just jumped out of bed, leaping at the door and trying desperately to get to their owner. He went to the bathroom and was startled to see his reflection in the mirror. His eyes were bloodshot, and the whites of the eyes completely red. Ethan realized he had been visited by a succubus demon. It's kind of a jump.
I was going to say, how?
Jump, right?
Yeah, how does he suddenly just out of that realize, oh, that was a succubus?
I thought succubus are sexual beings, not, did he ear banging?
So,
let's bring back the bang. I want to bang your ear.
So it was a intense vibration in one ear that went over to the other ear.
He had Q-tips while he was sleeping. He was cleaning his ear with Q-tips.
And then the ghost said, soon.
Soon. You will hear no more. Ethan remains terrified of the demon returning, but has not had another incident ever since. Ethan's story is remarkable in its detail, but also because he survived his encounter with the demon. Most who come into contact with any demon, let alone a succubus, do not live to tell the tale. Is a succubus real? While evidence is hard to come by, there are plenty of people like Ethan who have very similar stories about their encounters with demons. I'm not convinced that was a succubi story.
That one was kind of disappointing. So he said he had some... I mean, this kid could have had an ear infection that might have done the same thing.
Yeah, we're gonna like clamp that story down.
Yeah,
no succubus in that story.
I didn't like that one, but I am gonna kick my husband because he always has to give me the worst articles ever.
Best articles, huge good articles.
Oh, let's not pretend to be him right now. Ooh. So this is horny psychic has steamy sex
me
with
so
ghost who is 250 years old. A randy psychic has said having raunchy sex sessions with a 250-year-old ghost is the best she's ever had. And this is by our good friend Tom Raleigh of the Daily Star.
You know old Tom.
We have read a lot of Tom's stuff.
Oh, good old Tom Raleigh.
Yeah, we have read a lot of his stuff. Okay. Kinky, this is how it starts out. Kinky Adrian Blackwell,
Yeah, baby.
who is 34, claims to go for half an hour. What? At a time with a beta, a Native American chief who was alive in the 19th century.
I think Beta's the name.
It says with beta. Okay, so not
Yeah,
with
Beta's
not with a beta.
No, they Beta, but Beta's the actual name of this being.
With Beta, who is a Native American chief. And according to her, the experience leaves her so much more satisfied than doing the deed with the living.
Well, she's not the only one today to say that.
She described having sex with Hunky Beta as being out of this world.
Odd Indian name, Beta, though.
Yeah. I was going to say, no, like, chief hung like horse or...
Wow. I apologize to all my Native American friends. That was so racist.
So she said, it's like being on another planet. Something much more than anything humanly possible. My first experience was not scary, just strange. It felt new, but at the same time, something that felt very old, as if I had done it before.
Oh.
I remember Beta getting into the
PLH,
bed.
maybe? Past life husband?
Ooh, could be past life husband.
Hmm.
Doesn't have a ring like past life wife.
I know, it doesn't.
Maybe she's his past life wife.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
But she's alive.
Right. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Go.
I remember Beta getting into the bed and holding me, but I looked up and no one was there. Then I felt him get on top of me like a warm blanket covering me from head to toe. It was like having sex with our whole bodies. No part of my body was left untouched. Adrian,
Isn't that
sex
called
psychic.
missionary style?
You know. Adrian, a sex psychic from Hawaii, U.S., is known as a sexorcist. After a decade,
Sexorcist.
a sexorcist.
Maybe she can answer my question about if sexually transmitted diseases is actually from a ghost to a human is spectrally transmitted diseases. Maybe she can. If you're listening, please
Adrian,
contact me.
we need you.
We need you to know if this is real.
Yes, Adrian, contact us. Come on,
Hashtag
girl.
spectrally transmitted diseases
Oh God.
at Dragon's Nest PC at either Twitter or Facebook.
There we go. Adrian, a sex psychic from Hawaii, U.S., is a sexorcist after a decade of ghost romping. She says the Spectrophilia, the art of having sex with a spirit, which we've learned about today.
Oh, she calls it an art.
Yes, the art of having sex with a spirit is not that uncommon, and that it is like being on another planet, something much more than anything humanly possible. She said that some clients are scared to talk about it, though, in case they are mocked or laughed at.
Sorry, I've only been on it this whole show.
Sorry.
We love you, though. We love the stories, but we have to entertain.
Most of the people I talk to have great stories and love their experiences of spectrophilia. Unfortunately, some are scary and it's forced and unwelcome. Many are reluctant to talk for fear of being ridiculed. That is why I shared my story, as I put them at ease and they become excited to talk about their story with you or get help. Often that brings closure and stops the occurrences, and sometimes you end up doing a type of exorcism or spiritual blessing to end it. According to her
Sage burning, we discussed this.
According to her psychic powers, Adrian and Beta were said to be husband and wife back in the 1800s.
Oh, look, there we go.
Oh, it
is true.
Past life wife. Oh, I love that. But it was not meant to be for the couple who ended their 12-month relationship. Adrian says she's now looking for a human relationship and is hoping she can make Beta a thing of the past. Well, that's kind of disappointing in a way. I mean, I don't know. I kind of want them to get together now.
You want her to be like Amethyst and
Yeah.
just marry and continue that relationship.
Yeah, that was kind of neat that they're, the past life thing. I think that's kind of cool.
Well, let us know if you have any spectrophilic moments, or please, if you have caught a spectrally transmitted disease, tell us your story.
We need to know.
Tell
we
us
need
your
to know
story.
these things.
This needs to be public record. Tell us
Also,
your story.
if any of you have any experiences, please get in contact with one of us. We'd love to have you on the show.
You can contact us at thedragonsnest@outlook.com.
Absolutely. And I mean, if you know us personally, then get a hold of us. Get a hold of us that way. You can get a hold of us through Facebook as well.
Thanks for joining us for season 2, and we want you to look forward to, rather. We are going to Waverly Hills Sanitarium.
Yes, we are in April.
And so we're going to have a whole show about that. We're not spending the night, unfortunately, but we're going to do a tour, and hopefully some other time we'll do the entire night ghost hunt. And but first we're going to get acquainted with the building and see what we feel over there.
Absolutely. It's going to be a 2-hour tour that quite a few people are going with us on, and hopefully we are allowed to take pictures. We are allowed to...
which we'll post at Twitter and Facebook.
Absolutely. So hopefully we'll catch something that night. I have heard that the 2-hour tour, not a lot happens on those. Usually it's the 6-hour tour when you get to spend the night there that you feel a lot more, that you see a lot more. But hopefully we can at least get in there, like Will said, get acquainted with the building and kind of get an idea of how we're going to set up when we do our 6-hour tour later in the year.
And after we actually go to Waverly, perhaps we'll bring a few guests on the podcast.
Absolutely. I think that would be an amazing idea. And I know a lot of people, I know a lot of you have came up to me personally and have talked about your experiences, and I thank you for that. I've had experiences myself that I've talked about on here and with others. So please, you're not alone. Come talk to us, be on the show. We'd love to have you.
That's all the time we have for this episode. As always, we thank you for listening to The Dragon's Nest. Please follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dragon's Nest PC. That's Dragons with an S, Nest PC for podcast. We are on YouTube, so please like, subscribe, and hit that bell. You can listen and follow us on your favorite podcast platforms such as Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google, iTunes, and at our host site, SoundCloud. To search for us, just search The Dragon's Nest. That's the THE, Dragons with an S, Nest. If you would like to share a story with us or have ideas you'd like to hear in a future show, please send an email to thedragonsnest@outlook.com or call and leave us your story at 513-549-3049. Again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time
Inside the Dragon's Nest.